I'm not an expert. This is purely for informational purposes. I'm only talking about stuff I do on a day-to-day basis, and I'm just sharing it with you. So do not take this for advice. Did you know there is a whopping 238,306? How do you say that number? How do you even say 238,306,000? Yo, I'm having. Yeah, that's too much wine, honey. Too much wine.
So excited because today we are going to go and look at a 3-flat block building, and I'm so excited, y'all, because we're gonna analyze this deal. We're gonna look at this deal. We're gonna analyze all the figures, and we're gonna see what we think is the best route we should take if you was to invest in this. We're gonna look at the returns, we're gonna look at the money in, the money out, and all the above. Now, this house is on with the auction. I've got a great business relationship with these guys. They are allowing me to collect the keys. Oh, come on now, you see me reversing. They're allowing me to collect the keys and go there by myself. Now that is what you call trust. Yeah, that's how you spell trust. Get the keys and go by yourself. I'll see you at the front door. Bye.
This is the block of flats. This is it right here. You can see it's over 4 floors. You've got a lower ground, a ground floor, first floor, and second floor. So there's a lot of property to this property. Let's go inside. Now, immediately in entering the flat, to the right hand side there's a fire alarm system. This tells me that this house has been converted properly. I've done one of these, we've had to put this in, and this is so the whole block is interlinked with one another. So if flat 3 goes off, flat 2 and flat 1 will be alerted, and they also have to run out. So that's fantastic to know they've also done things the right way. As you come up the stairs, you walk into the first flat. So immediately you're met to the right with a door, another window, which is just beautiful. You have a bathroom here, so if I step back even more, you can see that this room is a decent space. You've got a wonderful bathroom there, and then a bit of storage to your left. You've got a nice size radiator, which you always need those. And then as I step back to the other side, you've got the entrance door and the 2 bedrooms. Let's go check out the bedrooms. So you can see immediately this cut off with this big wall that I did not anticipate. So the room is a double-sized room. Similar size to this without the big bulk. Now we've got a wonderful bathroom here. I like how they've done this plastic all over the walls, and this is really popular in HMOs because then you don't have damp that you have to actually wipe down and maintain. The only problem is that it doesn't mean damp's not there when it does come, as you can see above the bathroom here. Looking at that damp, you know that's quite a serious issue, and what's worse is it's inside the property. So where could that be coming from? That's not an outside wall, because there is the outside wall, so we don't know where that's coming from. But it's tiny. And then you've got the small radiator. So my first impressions upon inspection of this 2-bedroom flat is that it's actually quite all right. The electrics look like they are in good condition. You've got a new RCD unit, and that's always a good and positive selling point, because the bill for electrics alone can range anywhere between 2 to 5 to 6,000, depending on how big the house is and what it is you're actually doing. But fortunately, this flat is in decent condition, and that's a great thing. The plumbing system, it looks quite good. It looks like it's in good condition. The doors, they're all looking fine. The handles work. I mean, that's cosmetic stuff, but things like the windows, they do look blown. They do look like there's condensation building up in between the 2 glasses, and they will need to be changed. But fortunately, things like plastering over the ceiling and getting rid of those horrible tile effect polystyrene, they are not there, fortunately. But my only challenge with this is when I first come in, I smell damp. I smell a lot of damp, and I know there's damp above that bathroom door. Question is, where is it coming from and where is it going? That would be something that needs to be sorted. It needs to be looked at, and that would need to be sorted as a priority because it's dangerous to tenants' health. Short-term stays, long-term stays, it doesn't matter. It's a complete danger. I've noticed as well, the walls in this place are thick. I mean, these are 9-inch walls. This is an external wall, but it's literally just here. So that makes me think that there's probably a lot of moisture building up in between these walls, and that is a worrying thing when they are 9 inches thick. Of course, it's got the poxy little kitchen. I'm not a huge fan of that. The boiler looks like it's in decent condition. But as well as that, there's a lot of unleveled floor in this flat. And that means, well, that can mean many things. So it's hard to go into detail. But it is something that would need to be looked at, because that can come at a heavy cost if you find that those joists below need to be adjusted in order to make the flooring straight. So if there's some form of structural issue going on there, that will be picked up when the surveyor walks around. Overall, the condition of this flat, it's fair. Let's go see the flat upstairs. Now this is a decent space. So looking at the third flat, and this is the second floor flat, which looks like it's almost a 1-bedroom flat. But well, it is a 1-bedroom flat, but I think the thing that's confusing about it is the shower being inside the bedroom. Now that is different, where it's completely separate to the bathroom and inside the bedroom. That's probably wonderful for couples. It being in a 1-bed, that's not actually a bad idea if you're a little bit freaky. But if you like privacy, then that's not nice at all. If you have guests staying over, they will be showering inside your bedroom. It's not ideal. The bathroom is actually big enough to accommodate a shower. If you was to shuffle where the boiler is and put that into the corner near where the toilet, or the opposite wall to the toilet, then I think you'd be in a lot of luck. The windows, they aren't as bad as downstairs. Flooring would probably need to be changed. It looks very dated. They've also got a new RCD unit, which means the electrics, they're up to date, and that's always a selling point. The boiler, it looks reasonably in good condition, but you never know until you turn it on and see what happens. So I mean, it's a small warm home that's quite what's the word I'm looking for? It's snug. It's snug. There's a huge big downer to this flat, and that is the damp. There's a lot of damp on the ceilings, and there's a lot of damp underneath that stair area, and I'm not too sure what, no, this must be a chimney because we're on the top floor, so there are no stairs. This is a chimney area. There's a lot of damp on it. I mean, it's solid, and that must be in line with that bathroom downstairs with the same thick wall, and you can see here the chimney has a thick wall. Downstairs, there's also a thick wall that has the moist coming through in that bathroom area, and you can smell it quite strong. It's definitely heavily present in this flat, and there's other areas showing signs of damp that's coming up, so you can see that this is traveling throughout the building. And of course, the owner hasn't taken care of it, or he may have tried, but it definitely hasn't been remedied, and as a result, it might make sense as to why these are empty, because you could not let this out with issues like this. But otherwise, I think it's a nice property. Definitely great for surface accommodation or long-time lets, or just that professional looking for 6 months stay. Let's go downstairs to the ground floor flat. Follow me. Now, do you remember when I told you there is a lower ground flat? This is it. So you can... There is nothing in here, absolutely nothing. It's bare. There's no gas. There's water supply, and there is an electric supply because there is an RCD unit. But you will see that this flat needs everything put in, so you'll be literally starting from scratch when it comes to installing the kitchen, an actual functioning bathroom, and then a sitting area and some form of bedroom area. This obviously is going to be a studio. It's definitely not big enough to be a 1-bedroom flat. Sizes just don't allow for it. There is hardly any lighting in this place. I mean, you're below ground level, so this is obviously a lower ground flat. There's not much lighting whatsoever, so you're really going to have to play with those lights and use those extra nice good quality LED lighting, so this flat can be really lit up and looking, so you can see yourself, right? I think it's time to go to the office and have a look at those numbers. Now, one big key thing I really want you to take away is that every single investor is different. Their criteria is different. What they want and what their needs are is different. How you evaluate a deal is different, because what might be good to you might not necessarily be good to me, and what might be good to the next man might not necessarily be good to you. So remember, you always want to work to numbers that suit you and that you like and that are in line with your goals. Now, I know this area very well. Busy, there's lots of different tenant demands, and which is beautiful, because if you find that one way is taking too long to rent, then you can always tailor to a different type of market part-time. And I like areas and locations that are like that, because it gives you more options of renting out a property quickly in a timely manner and getting you some cash flow real fast. Now, first things first is looking at the property values of this house. In doing so, I went online, I went on Rightmove, I done a good search, and I discovered that there are quite a few HMOs ready for sale in this area, and that was helpful to know, because there were 5-bedroom HMOs, there were 6-bedroom HMOs, there was even a 7-bedroom HMO, all for sale within a similar price bracket and within a similar condition. So that allowed me to quickly identify how much this property should be. Now, it's on the auction for 180, and I discovered that this needs to be purchased at 180. You cannot go above that. Why? Because it needs a bit of work, and there are some issues with the house, and the ones that are available at the moment are for the same price, and guess what, in the same condition. So it would be dumb of me to go and pay a whole lot more when I can go buy a house that's exactly the same for a little bit less just down the road. So I use these things as a basis. As well as that, I also look at my yields, the rents, the things I want to achieve for this property that's in line with my criteria, and that would be a guide for me to know whether or not this is the right property for me or not. So when I done my due diligence, I discovered this house needs to be purchased at 180 and not £1 more. And here's a quick tip for you. Just because it's on the auction for 180, it does not mean you have to, or it's going to be sold for a lot more. Prices that auction properties are advertised at are a guide price, and usually the seller's reserve is within 10% more or 10% less of that guide price. So you know that you need to be within 10% more or 10% less to get this house. So keep that in mind for the next time you are bidding on a house, or if you plan to bid, keep that in mind. You don't have to go way over, or don't be put off by the fact that, oh, this house is on for, I don't know, £200,000, and you feel like, you know, it's going to go for 300, I better not even bid. Because I hear that a lot. A lot of people just come up with this number, it's going to go for that much, there's no point in even going to the auction, and then don't even bother. Try. Just try. Now, with a property purchase of £180,000, there were other purchase costs that we need to take into consideration, such as the auction fees at £1,600. There was stamp duty at £5,400. And then, of course, you've got the legals, which I put down at £1,000. It could be more or less, but I thought £1,000's a nice round figure. Then you've got the renovation, but this renovation is a £15,000 figure. And the reason why I say 15 is because the house, as you saw, is not in bad condition. And then that is it. So looking at all those costs, we are in at £203,000. Now let's look at the rental income of these properties. Now there are two beds and one bedroom property. So looking at the income, doing research, again, you're always doing your due diligence. I discovered that you can get 2 bedrooms for around £600, although property rent in Wales is going up, and I'm seeing them go up at an exponential speed. It's profound. I cannot believe it, and it's happening before my eyes, honey. So you know what that means? Yes, ching ching. Looking at the rent, this is the money that is received from property. I'm looking at the rents of a long-term rental income. I'm not looking at rents from short-term. I'm not looking at service accommodation. I'm not looking at cohabiting, co-living. I'm just looking at long-term rents. 1 bed's £500 a month and 2 beds £600 a month. Now, if this house is done up and you spend quite a lot more in the house, you could probably push that up a little bit more. But again, I like to be conservative with my numbers. The bank likes to be conservative. Mortgage lenders like to be conservative. Surveyors like to be conservative. So you might as well run your numbers on a conservative basis, and then anything else is a bonus. But looking at those numbers where you have two beds at 600 and one bed at 500, that means you are looking at an 11.2% yield. Now, obviously this is an auction purchase. So purchasing the block of flats means you would have your finance in place ready to go. But I have done the numbers based on a normal buy-to-let mortgage. The reason I've done that is because if I was to do bridging and do cash, I mean, there's so much other things that you would have to take into consideration. So I thought the best way to look at this deal and analyze this deal is with a straightforward buy-to-let. And then again, when you're looking at deals, make sure you're looking at your immediate situation and how you're buying the deal, because as you know, bridging fees are expensive but worthwhile, and mortgage fees are, again, they're very much different to bridging, so you always want to keep that in mind. But looking at it from a buy-to-let bridge perspective, that means you would be putting down your 25% deposit, and then you would have a 75% mortgage. So if you were to have a 75% mortgage, that means your mortgage is £135,000. Just for the purpose of this video and us looking at the monthly income of you buying this property and holding onto this property and renting it out as a long-term rental, these are the numbers you would expect to achieve. So on a house with the mortgage is £135,000, and that's 75% of the purchase price. Let's just say for this example that the interest rate is 4%, right? So every year you're paying 4% on that interest. You're looking at a payment of £450. With a rental income of £1,700, which is the two beds at 6 and then the one at 5, you're looking at a £1,700 overall income. Put aside a management fee of 10%. So that's £170 a month. Then of course you're going to have insurance, which can be part of the initial purchase cost, or some people like to do monthly. If it's monthly, then you're looking at £33 a month. You've got to take that into consideration. That means all your costs are in at £653,000. If you have £1,700 coming in and your costs are £653, that means you have a profit of £1,047 a month. That's not bad, especially if you're only putting down 25%. Again, you are buying this from an auction. This property ended up being accepted pre-auction. Doing research on this house, I realized the value of these flats were between £70,000 and £115 at the higher end. So again, when I looked at doing a renovation, I thought it doesn't need a lot of work. A lot of this can be done for a fraction of the cost. For me, the core focus is on fixing that mold, that disgusting mold that was going throughout the property. It was making me sick. Even being in there, I was like, damn, this ain't even nice, honey. So that is probably where a lot of the money is going to go. And I also got a feeling that it's going to be something that's going to take a little while to remedy. It's one thing fixing it, but you've got to hope that you're fixing the right area. A lot of the time builders come in and say render, and I'm like, wait a minute, don't do that. Let's not do that. We're not going to come in and just say render, because render is damn expensive. So let's figure this out. Let's go through this property. Let's look at this. You know what I'm saying? And then get a second opinion and a third opinion and maybe even a fourth if you're not so confident in the first 3. But if we were to look at the numbers of, say, you now buying this house and then selling off those flats individually, and that means, well, the title had already been split, so you don't have to go through all that cost. That's already been done. And that's one thing I like about this block of flats. Sometimes you see blocks of flats that are available on the market, and trust me, there are a lot, particularly in your area, so go and have a search, and you will find that they haven't been split by the titles. It's still on one freehold, it's still on one title. Well, I wouldn't say it's on one title, but it's still a freehold property there. It hasn't been divided whatsoever, and then therefore you're having to purchase as one freehold and then refinance as one freehold. The beauty of this is that legwork, that legal legwork has already been done, so you can sell these flats individually, and that's a bonus. So looking at the sale of these flats and doing some due diligence, like I said, top values were 115 for a 2-bed, and then bottom values at 1 beds was 70,000. So I thought, right, well, let's look at the condition of this house. Once you spend some money doing it up, what did I think it would be worth? 85,000 for the 1 bed, and then 100,000 for the 2 beds. Okay, so I knocked off 15,000 for those 2 beds. And to be honest, if you really wanted to spend a little bit more money, then you could go for the higher end market, because it is in a great location. That's the thing with this house. It's in a super amazing, easily accessible location, which is fantastic for people who are visiting, short-term, long-term, any kind of tenant really. You're really open to the market with this location. So if you were to sell all of these flats individually over a period of time, then you would be raking in an income of a whopping £285,000. But then of course you're going to have costs. You're going to have the cost of holding these flats for 6 months. What you may or may not know is that local councils and mortgage companies, they like people to have owned the property for 6 months before they sell it on. So of course you're going to have costs. You're going to have costs like legals. You've got to sell each of those flats individually, and with that will come 3 sets of legal fees. So let's just say legal fees at £1,000 to sell, and then you're going to have the insurance for 3 months. You would have to be servicing the mortgage. So for this instance, when we were looking before, the mortgage cost was £450 a month. If we held this block of flats for 6 months at £450 per month, plus you got the insurance for the duration of time as well, then you're in at £2,900. And then you've got the agency fees, and I've kind of said this a little bit backwards. Then you've got the agency fees, and again, let's just say £1,000 per unit, so that's £3,000 for the entire unit. Agents differ, some of them charge 1.5%. They charge different things. They usually have a minimum amount, but for now, I'm going to put that at £1,000. And then of course you've got your initial purchase cost that you have to take into consideration once you've made that sale, that would need to come off so you can really get your clear profit. So you've sold at 285,000. You've had costs of 211,900. Then your profit margin is 73,100, which is a lot of money. Now you could be creative. You could be creative and refinance each individual flat to get more money for you to hit these numbers and still hold on to the property. So if you was to buy this block of flats, say initially in cash, and then you really wanted to refinance each flat to really maximize on the amount you can pull out, then you could also have that option and get a lot more money. Or you could consider commercial finance as well, which gives you again a lot more money. That there's so much other ways, and this is why I say to you it's really important to speak to your mortgage broker. So I have a question for you. Like, now knowing that you could purchase this property and then sell each flat individually and get 73k in the bank, or you could purchase this property and hold on and then get £1,000 a month for the rest of your life. What one would you do? What one would you choose? I'm curious to know what type of people are out there, and what are your long-term goals? What are you looking for? What are your objectives? Now, everyone's answer is going to be different because goals are different, objectives are different, strategies are different. So I'm curious to know, what's your goal? What's your objectives? I hope you found this video very useful. Stay tuned for the next video that's coming up shortly, and I look forward to hearing from you down below. Speak soon. Bye.